Today's episode is brought to you by Audible. For you, the listeners of Awesome Sunday Show, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. And all you have to do is go to audibletrial.com/awesomesundayshow. It's audibletrial.com/awesomesundayshow. Sign up for your free 30-day trial. Check out over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or any of the other 500 devices that they support. Might I recommend The Hobbit, unabridged version by J.R.R. Tolkien. Forget the movies. Listen to the audiobook. They have 180,000 to choose from. Promise you won't be disappointed. All you have to do is go to audibletrial.com/awesomesundayshow for a free audiobook download with a 30-day free trial. Thank you, Audible, for sponsoring this episode.
And today's show is also brought to you by BarkBox.com. You can get one free extra month of BarkBox at www.getbarkbox.com/awesome. What is BarkBox? Well, I'm glad you asked. Every month, BarkBox paws pick the best all-natural treats and innovative toys to match a dog's unique needs, including allergies and heavy chewer preferences. All edibles are made in the USA and Canada, and 100% of the products are tested on animals. BarkBox is a great way to try different treats from local businesses, and each monthly box is also themed: New York City, Country Fair, etc., etc. And if the dog doesn't like something in the box, they'll actually send you something that the dog will love for free, because they're all about the dog's happiness, and there's free shipping on any BarkBox within the continental U.S. And if the dog falls in love with something from the box, you can easily find it again on barkshop.com or just by texting them or go on the app. So remember, if you want to nab that free extra month of BarkBox, go over to www.getbarkbox.com/awesome.
You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. Yeah, it's a mouthful. For more great shows like the one you're about to enjoy, visit electronicmediacollective.com. And now, our feature presentation.
Oh my god, you guys.
Hey everybody, it's time for the Awesome Sunday Show!
Hey everybody, welcome back to Awesome Sunday Show. Connor here.
And Pat as well.
Pat, how you doing?
I'm doing just fine, especially because we're joined by a lovely, lovely guest, Mr. Anthony D'Elia.
Delia, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, guys. You know, it's E3. It's always an exciting time of year for video game fans. This year, a little less exciting than it usually is, but we'll get into that. But yeah, no, it's been a pretty cool week so far.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, some conferences were much better than others. But, you know, there's some cool shit revealed, some not cool stuff, and then just some outright duds. And so we're going to break it down for you guys a little by each, get into some things that we feel more strongly about than others. But we'll kind of try and recap, you know, everything that we can within the time frame. So, Anthony, since you are the special guest, I will let you choose whatever you want to talk about first.
Well, I mean, I guess we could just go in order, right? So the first thing that kind of happened was EA had their, you know, whatever you want to call it, their like live stream that they did on Saturday.
They're EA Direct.
Yeah, well, it was called like EA. They call it EA Play, but it was really just like a you know, an extended like demonstration of, you know, their sports games and all this other stuff. Like there was some Apex Legends news, but really like their only reason to talk about this, I feel like for our purposes here, is that we finally got to see the first gameplay footage of Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh yeah, it's about time.
Yeah.
Force Unleashed Part 3.
Yeah.
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 It actually
It looks better though.
Yeah, it looks a little like it doesn't look as action heavy or as I guess that's not the word, as bombastic as The Force Unleashed. Like The Force Unleashed was really their kind of take on like the God of War style combo driven like action genre, whereas this game looks to be a little bit more like deliberate focused on enemy positioning and managing engagements by taking out the right enemies first. It looks a little bit more. I don't want to say thoughtful because that sounds stupid, but like, it looks less brainless.
Yeah, it's like for like the Force Unleashed, it was cool where you could, just push things out of the way, grab things like a normal Jedi. But yeah, I think you're right. There's more thought put into Fallen Order. I mean, just the fact that you have your droid that can add and enhance the gameplay experience. The fact that you can when he fights that ATST, I mean, granted, like it's not like a new mechanic, but just even when he fires the missile back, it just seemed a little more. It just flowed better. Like it just looked more polished. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it looked like the combat had more weight to it than we're used to seeing in like a lightsaber combat kind of game. Like it doesn't. The action looks closer to original trilogy lightsaber battles as opposed to prequel lightsaber battles.
Right. So a little more strategic, a little more like wait and see instead of just balls to the walls, like just full fury. Which I think is interesting because you can't just go, especially if you're going up against so many stormtroopers, and now we see they have some different weapons than just standard sabers. With like the those like electric swords, not the lightsaber, or I would say taser swords. Kind of like
is that what like Grievous's guards have in Episode 3?
Yeah,
they look like that. They look like that kind of exact same weapon.
So like that. So I think it looks a little more strategic, and it looks like you're really going to rely on the Force more than you will your lightsaber, which I think is cool. And there's going to be some new like Force options in it. Like I know one, you could freeze an enemy in stasis. He's going to have the ability to slow down time, which I think is pretty cool. And one thing I noticed, it looks like it has when you're not like fighting storm, you got like a Sekiro style posture system.
Mm.
Yeah, there's definitely that element to it because it looked like underneath the enemy health bars there was some kind of like, I guess for lack of a better term, like the posture meter in Sekiro. Like when he was fighting the Purge trooper, that trooper that was using the shock, the double bladed whatever shock baton thing. I thought one thing that was really cool about it was that the regular like no-name stormtroopers were just dying in one hit, which is like I feel like that's the first time we've really like seen that kind of like realism with regard to lightsabers in one of these games. A lightsaber would literally cut somebody in half if you slice them with it, and yet in other games, like people like are tanking like one or two lightsaber hits before they finally go down. And it just kind of looks really funny. But this game, like I was kind of surprised when he started like fighting stormtroopers and was just slashing them once and they were dying.
As it should be.
And that kind of no, as it should be, right. And it sort of really like drove home the fact that like they're trying to go for like a style of combat that isn't so much focused on like fighting individual enemies and like the way you handle the group of enemies. Because I could see with this battle system the way it is, like if you aren't smart about who you take out first, like you leave somebody who's like taking blaster shots from a distance alive for too long, he's going to wear your health down while you're trying to fight the other guys. So you got to like throw your saber up at him and then pull it back, and then you fight like some of the other weaker enemies, and then you turn to face like the flamethrower guy, and then maybe like a purge trooper jumps down, you got to take him out too. So it's like, it's going to be a whole like strategic flow of battle in this game that we haven't really seen before in a Jedi game.
Right. And then of course you got your droid BD-01 who rides us back, and some of the abilities he has is to provide health boosts, scan enemies for info, and then hack doors. You got some platforming elements, kind of like some classic Uncharted elements in there, shimmying up the structures, wall running, stuff like that. So it looks like they kind of took inspiration from a couple different games in terms of how they applied it to their gameplay, and of course having it in the Star Wars world.
Yeah, one thing that I didn't really get a sense of from the gameplay that they showed was that one of the games that they've pointed out like specifically as one of the influences for this is Zelda, and I think they said Metroid also, which is kind of interesting considering you're going to be going to different planets and stuff. But like, I didn't. The gameplay that we saw was a very linear sequence from near the beginning of the game. They said it was like 3 hours in, so I'm sure like maybe the game will open up at some point and it'll be more explorable. But as of now, the only nod to like that kind of game design I saw was that like BD1's map that he projects onto the screen to show you where you are. It looks a lot like the maps from the Metroid Prime games, and I was like, that got me like really excited about like that whole element
sure.
of it.
Another thing to note is there's not going to be any dark side or Sith options in the story. It is a canon Star Wars game now, which is awesome, and we got a nice surprise with him teaming up with Saw Gerrera, Forrest Whitaker's character from Star Wars Rogue One.
Yeah, easily like
his
one of the most underused characters from that movie.
The number one most underused character.
Yeah. That's
Yes,
really Forrest Whitaker too.
Yeah, thank
That's
Jesus.
really Forrest Whitaker too. They got him.
I think
Saves the dream.
And when we reviewed Rogue One, we did note for sure how underused Saw Gerrera was. So
Right.
It's going to be good to see him, get some actual time in this.
Mhm.
Hopefully, because I mean, we could all use a more Forrest Whitaker in our lives. Let's be honest. All right, Ant, what would you like to talk about next? Let's see.
All right. Well, then I guess sequentially the next thing that happened was Microsoft had their press conference, which, going into this year, I was kind of expecting it to be a down year because we know, or we have known for a while, that the new console generation is going to start next fall. And so the year before a new console generation starts is always kind of quiet for E3 because everybody's kind of holding back the big guns for the following year because a console always launches in the fall. There's always another E3 before they come out. So I knew it was going to be a down year. I just kind of hoped that it wasn't going to be as bad as 2012, the last time this happened, which was, in my opinion, one of the worst E3s of all time. But
Yeah, nobody had
Yeah.
a really good press conference that
no,
year.
I mean, that was the year Sony showed off that stupid Wonder Book thing with like the Harry Potter spell book, and it didn't work, and they spent like a half an hour of their press conference on it, and it was just so embarrassing. But yeah, so this was not nearly as bad as that. It was not even in the same ballpark. But you could just tell in Microsoft's press conference that it just wasn't as wild as it usually was. Like even last year, they had like a pretty crazy press conference in terms of like things that they showed off. This year, like we saw a lot of things that we already knew about. Some things that were unfortunately leaked before the show happened, which kind of dampened their significance a little bit. But there was one single defining moment in the Microsoft press conference that was one of the most hyped things of all time. And I know you guys know what I'm talking about.
Oh, absolutely.
Is it Cyberpunk?
It was when friggin' Keanu Reeves showed up in Cyberpunk. It's like, and then he came out on stage, and God, it was one of the most hype moments of E3.
He's
and
having quite the year.
yeah, he's having quite the last like couple of years. Like the last like 5 or 6 years.
Well, granted, none of us have seen it yet, but apparently he's the best part of Toy Story 4 from like what I've been reading online.
Yeah, I've been seeing that too. I've been seeing that he's like really good at it. But yeah, it's pretty cool. He's playing a character called Johnny Silverhands, and basically what he is like he's an AI that gets implanted in your character's like head early in the game, and like you can like he's not you see him, but he's like not really there because he's just a program in your head. And they were hinting that he is not entirely a benevolent AI program. So that's going to be kind of an interesting thing to see happen when the game comes out.
And I mean, this game just looks fantastic.
It does. I kind of like, and I hope games like it's always like a thought in the back of my mind when they just pump up a game so much, like this is our first party title, and then like it kind of just falls flat. Like Microsoft did it with Too Human. They
Yeah. I mean, the difference is that Cyberpunk is not going to be first party. Like it's going across
it is. Oh yeah, that's right. 'Cause
Xbox, PS4, and PC.
Yeah, it's. I mean, that's the thing. Like, because Sony didn't have their press conference this year. Like when I was seeing Dragon Ball, like Dragon Ball Kakarot, I was like, no, wait, no, yeah, this is coming to PlayStation. I like, you know,
Yeah, so that's what Microsoft. Some of the games that they showed off were not exclusives to them, and this is one of them, and probably the biggest non-exclusive that they
Yeah.
showed off. But this game looks fucking awesome.
Yep. Yeah, it's such an interesting looking world. I love the cyberpunk aesthetic. It's like one of my favorite things. So when I found out that they were, because I'm not, which is shocking. I know I'm not the hugest Witcher fan. I'm like really not. So when I found out these guys were doing like a cyberpunk themed game and it was going to be, you know, like first person and, you know, it was going to be very different from what they've done on the Witcher series, it got me really excited because I respect, you know, a lot of what CD Projekt Red does. It's just not, The Witcher just wasn't for me. Like I'm not a fan of the combat and stuff. So this game, you know, is very much in my wheelhouse and I'm super looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I mean, if going off just the last Witcher alone is going to show off like how good the story could possibly be for this, I have a lot of faith in the story, along with how great the gameplay looks. And you know, always like a good like futuristic cyberpunk game. It's always a good genre to play in, and I'm really excited for this one coming in April.
Yeah, there aren't enough big budget AAA games that get done like cyberpunk themed games. Like there's a lot of cyberpunk in like the indie scene, but like really not in like the AAA space. So this is like really exciting to see this like happen and to see such a prominent, like well-respected director coming off one of like the biggest games of all time, doing this and bringing cyberpunk into the mainstream. You know, I bet Blade Runner 2049 wishes that it came out after like this game launched because maybe it would have done better in the theaters. I don't know.
But I bet you that with the success of this game, that we will start seeing more cyberpunk AAA games over the next few years.
Yeah, I really hope so. That would be a cool trend that I'd be very much here for.
All right, moving on. Gears 5, they showed it off a little bit. I don't have an Xbox, so I don't really care. I'm probably not going to get an Xbox.
I have an Xbox, but I actually just bought it for Cuphead. Well, I didn't buy. I split it with my dad because he wanted an Xbox too, and I was like, well, whatever. I can play Cuphead. I'm an idiot because now it's on Switch.
Yeah, now it's on Switch.
Well, and it's funny too because I have it on Xbox and Switch. I bought it for Switch too.
Yeah.
That's a very common occurrence, is people like buying things on one console and then also buying them on the Switch.
Honestly, if the game is worth it, there's nothing wrong with doing that.
No, there isn't anything wrong with it. It's just I'm saying it's a very common thing. Like Cuphead's a great game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just the ability to have it on the go like that, I think is pretty appealing. Like, there's been several games that I've almost done that, but I haven't yet. But yeah, so they showed off the new Gears. I think the best part about it, or the most surprising part about it, was the Terminator exoskeleton showing up as a playable character.
Yeah, the Terminator was all over the place at E3 this year, right? It was like,
the new movie's coming out.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Like, and then also isn't the Terminator rumored for Mortal Kombat 11 also?
I heard that. I mean, I wouldn't. Mortal Kombat's a Warner Brothers property, and I'm pretty sure Terminator is owned by 20th Century Fox. I want to say.
Let me just look it up right here for you.
Yeah, look that up, Pat. Because
I mean, you can keep talking.
Yeah. So listen, anything can happen. I mean, listen, Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger are New Line Cinema properties. So, and they were in a Mortal Kombat game. So, I mean, really anything could happen. And also, Banjo-Kazooie is down in Smash. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter at this point.
Hey, way to jump the gun on that one.
Yeah, seriously, dude. Spoiler alert.
Oh, but we all know who had the press conference
it's
here.
Paramount and 20th Century Fox for on the Terminator. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate is a new tier for the subscription service. For those who are interested, they unveiled the new Wireless Control Series 2 controller, which actually looks pretty sick. One thing that Xbox has going for it, I really do like their controllers, especially the Elite controller.
Yeah, ever since they got rid of the
Yeah.
Duke and like there was the original Xbox controller, I think it was called Controller S. Am I correct there? I don't know, but you know what I mean. Where the black and white top buttons used to be on the top, now they're on the bottom.
Yeah.
That controller was great, actually. I love that controller. And yeah, every single Xbox controller has gotten significantly better. And I actually thought, like, wow, there can't be anything better than an Xbox One controller until I really played the Switch controller.
Mhm.
Yeah, the Switch Pro controller is
that
awesome.
legitimately is a fantastic controller.
But the Xbox 360 controller, I think, is still my favorite controller of all time. But the Xbox One controller has really grown on me. I like it a lot. Not quite as much as the 360, but
I do like
it
it
a
better,
lot.
actually, I think.
Connor
mainly
exclusively
because,
plays with Mad Catz controllers.
mainly because my biggest problem with the Xbox 360 controller is one, the first problem wasn't a problem until I played the Xbox One controller. Was the bumpers, I think, are significantly better on Xbox One.
Mhm.
Like, especially when you go back to 360, you notice like, oh yeah, no, that is better. And also, two, the battery pack in the back of the 360 controller
It was trash because it was always falling loose.
It was always falling loose, and like also like if you're like a man above 21, your hands are too your hands hit your fingers hit it. You know, it just sticks out.
That happens to me on the Switch Joy-Con grip.
Yeah,
It's not big enough.
no, yeah, especially like our hands, Delia. Our hands are massive.
Yeah.
They both are actually like the lawyer Charlie's uncle from So He's Sunny in Philadelphia. They have really tiny hands. They just put on big fake hands.
You
that
know-
look bigger.
You know what to say about big hands, right? Need big controllers. Oh, what were you going to say?
I was gonna say big gloves, but
Oh, yeah, true.
that too.
I was gonna say big penis.
Well, we know that's not true in your case.
But the new controller, the new version of the Pro controller, or not the Pro controller, the Elite controller looks really cool. I know that was like the big thing. Like everybody started memeing like right after the conference, like how they wanted to marry the controller or date the controller or whatever. Like it was like became a big joke. Like I don't know, it was funny.
No, I mean, listen,
It was like sexy. Like how did they make a controller sexy?
Yeah.
Like it was like
because a great controller is awesome. It really makes
Yeah.
gameplay so much better. Having a shitty controller fucking will ruin my whole experience.
Yeah, I mean, like,
PS3.
yeah, no, I was about to say, you literally took the words out of my mouth because, like, granted, like for PS1 and PS2, it was fine because at the time those really were kind of the best, like, or one of the best. But like when PS3 came around, that controller felt incredibly antiquated.
I think the PS3 controller feels worse than the PS2 controller. Like it
Well,
felt
mainly because of the bumpers.
not only that, but like it just felt like flimsy and like too lightweight and like cheaply made. Like the PS2 controller felt like it had more weight to it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, mainly because the PS2 controller was more analog than it was digital, whereas the PS3 controller was more digital, so it was a little more lightweight. And also, the
Yeah.
PS3 controller didn't have DualShock for like the first year or two or something. So yeah,
Mhm.
facts.
Yeah. So the other gigantic thing for me, at least from the Microsoft conference, that had me the most hyped, even almost more so than Keanu and Cyberpunk, was the first teaser trailer for Elden Ring, the new game from Hidetaka Miyazaki and From Software and George R.R. Martin.
Yeah,
So-
man, what a combo there.
Yeah,
For those of you who don't know what From Software has developed, they've developed games like Dark Souls, most noticeably Bloodborne and Sekiro.
Yeah, and Hidetaka Miyazaki is the head of the studio, and he is a huge Western fantasy nerd. So, like the ability of him to work with George R.R. Martin to design a new video game IP, like I can only imagine how excited he was. And I know all of us, we all love George R.R. Martin's work.
Mhm.
So this is like huge for me, because I'm like a huge fan of the Souls games. Sekiro is like going to be really tough to beat for me for Game of the Year this year. So, like,
I still
I don't
have
know.
to play that.
yeah, it's amazing. I have it if you want to borrow it. I have a disc. But yeah, it's so good. It's oh man, and this game, I'm guessing it's going to be out probably April March, April, May next year. So, because From doesn't usually have like a huge long turnaround between when they announce a game and when it comes out. So, this is probably going to be, out within before the end of this fiscal year.
Yeah. So George R. R. Martin doesn't have time to write a book in 9 years, but writes a video game. Go figure.
Well, I mean,
no, I'm just kidding.
No. But he said he consulted, so we don't really know the full extent of his involvement. I think we've heard from like press materials sent out by From that he helped design the world and the lore and the characters, and then From took them and kind of like ran with them, like developed them, made them like more in the From style. So like it's almost like I hate to do this to George R. R. Martin because I love him, but he's like the George Lucas to Spielberg's like director on Indiana Jones. Like that's kind of what the sense that I get. So, but either way, like any involvement by him in a game is huge news.
Yeah, well, he's just a giant fan of video games in general, George R. R. Martin. Like he's like fans have theorized that like one of the reasons why he hasn't finished the books is because he just plays way too many video games.
I mean, I hope he's a Souls fan because
I'm sure he is, because he's such a fucking nerd. Like, there's no way he's not.
Yeah, it's just like one of the things that makes this kind of funny in like an Odd Couple sort of way is that From's games are really known for their subtlety and their understating a lot of things, and being kind of mysterious with the lore and the storytelling. And George R. R. Martin is very much known for the opposite of that. Like people joke about how like he goes 10 pages describing the food at a feast, right in the middle of a chapter. So it's kind of a meshing of two very different storytelling styles.
Yeah.
Anybody else excited for Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition finally showing gameplay when it was announced 2 years ago?
I didn't care less.
I never played Age of Empires.
So I played Age of Empires 2 and Age of Mythology. Age of Mythology I always thought was the better game, but Age of Empires 2 is definitely the most popular out of all of them, especially over Age of Empires 3, which people like, but it was a little too colonial, and I don't think it was as like engaging. Is just on a sheer just an introductory level. But Age of Empires 2 is great, and they're actually adding things too. It's like it's not just a 4K upgrade. They're like adding 4 new civilizations. It's like there's a new gameplay elements. Like I'm actually pretty excited to play it. In fact, I'm really glad. Like I actually might buy like a mouse and keyboard for my Xbox One.
It sounds like they're doing to that game like what Blizzard's doing with Warcraft 3 right now.
Yeah, that's actually pretty accurate. I'm sure there's subtle differences here and there, but yeah.
Yeah, like I think Blizzard is like completely recreating the actual like game assets, whereas this is just like a HD upres, but they are adding like some new content and they're kind of like remixing things. So it's cool. I mean, like I don't think there's enough. The RTS genre as a whole has just kind of, it needs to come back.
Well, I think the biggest problem with the RTS genre was is the fact that it's pretty much only can be locked into PC gaming, like in a sense, because RTS games just always run shittily on controllers. So like they are a mouse and keyboard game, definitely. But all right.
Battle for Middle Earth 2?
I played Battle for Middle Earth 2 on Xbox 360 and on PC, and it's much superior on PC. Didn't play that
Halo
shit.
Wars?
I know. I'm sure it was good, but I just never played it.
All right, running through some of the...
Let's run through some games.
Good.
Some more Borderlands 3 footage. Looks fucking awesome. They also released a Borderlands 2 DLC you could download for free this time. Which that game, I'm not huge on loot shooters. I never played the other ones. I downloaded the Handsome Jack collection for free. It's free on PSN right now. And Borderlands 3 looks fucking hype. That's all I got to say about that. Got some Psychonauts 2 gameplay. A Battletoads reboot coming.
Which looks fucking good.
It actually does look good, but who would have expected that?
Yeah, the graphics look so cool.
Yeah.
The Outer Worlds got a release date, October 25th. Very excited for that game. A surprise was a Blair Witch first-person horror game, which was pretty interesting. That kind of caught me by surprise coming out of there.
Because the last movie was so good.
Yeah, your friend. Dying Light 2 got a cinematic trailer, and then a release area for spring 2020. Looking forward to that game. The first one was actually a good surprise. Okay, who was next chronologically?
I think it was Bethesda.
Yeah, it was Bethesda. You don't want to talk about Halo and Xbox?
Oh yeah,
lightly. Yeah.
I forgot about Halo Infinite. They showed off a trailer for that, which is going to launch with Project Scarlet, which is going to be the new system.
Very smart move to hold that to make Halo Infinite a launch title.
Yeah,
for that because Halo still holds up today. I know Halo 4 and Halo 5 were not nearly as popular as 2 and 3, but that's still like an IP that Microsoft should exploit as much as they possibly can because. I mean, it's not too late to revitalize that series, even though it's not like dead by any means. But it's not. It doesn't nearly have the hype train that it once did.
Yeah, despite Halo 5's best efforts, it's not dead yet. I actually kind of I liked Halo 4, but I kind of bounced off Halo 5 like pretty hard. I don't even think I got through like the second mission in that game. Yeah, it was cool. It was a cool like little cinematic trailer that they showed. No gameplay, but I think that they're probably going to do the same thing they did back in 2013. Like Sony and Microsoft will probably have their own like console reveal events in the spring. We'll get more details at E3. Sony will be back at E3 next year. And then the consoles will launch probably late October, early November.
They already said Project Scarlet's going to be holiday 2020, so definitely November, I would say, the latest.
Yeah, no, holiday is such a poorly defined like term, like it kind of just talks about like the fall, like they kind of just mean like the fall and early winter because like nothing comes out in December, like it always comes out in November and like that's it.
All right, Bethesda.
So I kind of just don't want to talk about it. Like I'm like
we'll breeze past it.
We'll revisit Project Scarlet once we get more information. Because they just showed a trailer of like engineers working on it, so not really enough for us to go on it. But expect it holiday 2020, so basically a 4-month period at the end of next year.
Yeah. So with Bethesda, most people know like them for Fallout and Elder Scrolls. I actually like Doom and Wolfenstein. Those are
fucking great games.
Yeah, those are the games I'm still excited for the Wolfenstein 2 spinoff and
I am too.
And Doom Eternal. I don't think their games look bad. I didn't watch their press conference yet, but I just heard it was awful. Like it was just a terrible conference.
They definitely planted people in the audience.
It was.
Is that true?
Oh my god, it was so it was so transparent. Like these people were cheering for things that like nobody in their right mind would cheer for, no matter how big of a fanboy they are.
Was the only group in the whole thing just cheering. Like it was so cringe. It's like it was almost blatantly obvious. Which sucks because like Bethesda for a while was great. They had such good faith, fanfare and everything. And then Fallout 76 happened, and they just basically just told their fans to go fuck themselves with everything after that. But guess what, guys? Now there's going to be a battle royale mode in that. Sick. Fuck that. And then they announced Elder Scrolls Blades, which is a mobile game, is coming to Switch. I played it on iPhone. Fucking sucks. It's so heavy into
I heard
loot boxes and microtransactions. Just don't fucking play it. Trust me.
Yeah, I heard it's one of the worst, most exploitative games
oh my
ever.
God, it's pure trash, and there's nothing I don't have a single good thing to say about it.
Well, that's very disappointing, because it just, I don't know, man. Bethesda is really starting to and I'm talking about Bethesda Game Studios now, not necessarily the whole publisher, but Bethesda's really, and Todd Howard too. They're really kind of shocking me with how they've behaved over the course of the last year. it's really disappointing to see like a studio and a studio head who I have held in very high esteem for a very long time, like sort of take this kind of heel turn that they've took.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And for those of you who don't know, just look up Fallout 76 Collector's Edition controversy, and you'll get and just the whole disaster that is Fallout 76. Just look that up, and you'll understand. But I will say, Doom Eternal looks fucking awesome.
I'm so excited for that
Dude,
game.
I am so hyped. Comes out November 22nd.
And it's coming to Switch.
And it's coming to Switch.
I can't believe it.
Which is,
I can't believe it's coming to Switch. I
for
can't
those of you
believe they're
who
going to
don't
make that game run on Switch.
There is Doom got ported to Switch. If you don't already have
Yeah.
it and you have a Switch, recommend it. I'd recommend it just on anything. It's actually on sale right now for $30.
Yeah.
So is Wolfenstein 2. Both fantastic.
I
fucking
will
games.
actually plan on anything because here's the thing: whether you get Doom on Switch or Doom on PS4 or Xbox One X, that you're gonna get the 4K enhanced version,
Mhm.
which I've seen gameplay of, like in my own eyes, and I'm gonna tell you, it's beautiful, like beautifully disgusting. But the Switch version is like it really doesn't sacrifice a lot. Like it's like the frames per second. Yeah, you could. It's cut down a little bit. It doesn't move as smooth. But dude, I can play on the toilet. Like
Yeah, which is the dream. Which is, let's not be honest, it's the dream.
yeah. And so like I bought it for Switch and like I played the shit out of it.
Yeah. And Wolfenstein 2, another awesome one. I'm looking forward to this the spinoff here when you're paying as BJ Blazkowicz's twin daughters. But Doom Eternal looks amazing, and it sucks. Like in November, we got Death Stranding, November 8th, Pokemon Sword and Shield, the 15th,
Yeah.
and then Doom Eternal the 22nd. And it's like, just fuck you to my wallet because I'm getting all those games.
Well, I
immediately.
might. I'm
Yep.
not. Here's the thing: I protested Metal Gear Solid 5 for what Konami did to Hideo Kojima. Like, and it
and
sucks
to the
because
game itself, really. Let's be honest.
what's up?
In the game itself, you can tell where they fired Kojima and then shit the bed on it.
Yeah. Well, apparently, I heard that too. But apparently it's a fantastic game still in its own right. So like I'm kind of like I am kind of mad I missed the boat on it, but I'm glad I didn't
Don't
play
put
it because
yourself.
fuck Konami.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't buy it either when it came out, but I did download it when it was free on PlayStation Plus, but I haven't
But
played it yet.
yeah, so I might hold off on Pokemon for a little bit. As fucking phenomenal as it looks, I can't
believe you're what? Like
Well,
what?
I'm holding off on it.
Here's what
Why?
you do is you get Death Stranding, you play it for a full week, you get Pokemon, you play that forever,
Yeah.
and then you go back to Death Stranding.
I might but Death Stranding, it just looks there's Kojima is not every game he's made is perfect. Even Zone of the Enders is okay. Zone of the Enders 2 is actually a lot better. And Metal Gear Solid 3, I don't know why in hindsight people are starting to like it a lot more. That's the worst one of the series. It's not bad, but
What? No. 4 is the worst one.
what, dude? 4 was great. I mean, the cutscenes were way
No.
too long, but
2, Metal Gear Solid 3 is amazing. I don't know. What are you talking about?
okay,
Come
it's
on.
amazing
love
as a
Metal Gear
game, but
Solid
in
3.
the Metal Gear Solid franchise, it's definitely
It also has one of the best James Bond theme songs of all time.
yeah, that's true. But we
Yeah.
can all agree that Can we agree that Metal Gear Solid 2 is the best one out of all of them? Please, is that true?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
all right.
yes.
So that's going to be a very tough month. So they showed off some gameplay from Doom. Oh, so hyped. They showed off the Rage 2 expansion, Rise of the Ghost, I think it's called. Wolfenstein Youngblood. They show off some more gameplay from that. Very excited for that. They showed off a new game, Ghostwire Tokyo, which I think actually looks
Yes.
really interesting.
I didn't check that trailer out.
Yeah,
it looks
yeah.
pretty
so,
damn cool, to be honest.
So this is the new game from Tango Gameworks. They're the studio that did The Evil Within 1 and 2.
Oh, really?
They were founded by Shinji Mikami. Yeah. For people who don't know, Tango was founded by Shinji Mikami, who created Resident Evil.
And Sweet Home.
He was.
Sweet
and
Home?
what?
It's one of the
What's
very
that?
first survival horror games, and it was on NES. And it was actually, the
Oh,
very
really?
first Resident Evil was actually a Sweet Home remake. But what's the name again? Delia, what's his name? The
Shinji Mikami.
Shinji
Shinji
Mikami.
Mikami.
He was a huge zombie fan, so he actually changed it
Hmm.
into Resident Evil, or Biohazard, or Resident Evil, which we know today.
Mhm.
So a little history.
Yeah, Biohazard. It was originally called in Japan, which is funny because Resident Evil 7 here is subtitled Biohazard, and in Japan the game is called Biohazard 7 : Resident Evil, which is just hilarious. Like, but yeah, no. So this game was described as an action adventure game, like a high energy kind of action game with like horror elements. It's the cinematic teaser that they showed was really intriguing, and I am really very much looking forward to this. If it's like a Devil May Cry kind of game, but with like some horror elements like grafted onto it, like that would be pretty amazing.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely cool trailer, Connor. You would definitely very much enjoy the trailer. Okay. Who was next? Was it Ubisoft?
Well, there was the PC gaming show, but
Anything important than
I'm
that?
not much of a PC gamer. I don't. Again, the only reason why I ever really played PC games is because of RTSs. So, does anybody have any input on that?
No, I personally don't.
Okay, cool. So let's move on. Ubisoft.
Okay, Ubisoft. I mean, they did leak. Well, it was leaked, and then they announced it before E3, like a couple days before.
Oh wait, Sorry, before we move on, we also heard about the new game from Arcane, right? The developers of well, actually, this is the team that did Dishonored 2.
Oh, the time loop one, right?
Yeah. It's like oh man, yeah, Deathloop. Looks, again, cinematic teaser, no gameplay. Interesting concept. Two people that are stuck in a time loop kind of Groundhog Day scenario where they keep killing each other, and every time they kill each other, they like come back to life, and you know, it's
And
kind of
one
like
wants to break the time loop, one doesn't, right?
right. Yeah, they're like on an island, and I don't know. It looks pretty cool. Was hoping we would see what Arcane's been working on. So this is going to be interesting to see how that game turns out.
Yeah, I like Arcane. Dishonored games are great.
And Prey was sick.
And I haven't played Prey, but
Yeah, it was pretty good.
I've heard good things. All right, so
Sorry.
Ubisoft, they showed off. It's okay. The new Watch Dogs, titled Watch Dogs Legion, taking place in near future London, in a cyberpunk surveillance state. So here we go with the cyberpunk. It actually looks pretty good. The first one was, obviously very disappointing. Ubisoft kind of just completely lied about the game and then just released a pile of crap. The second one I got for like, I don't know, I want to say $10. Is actually pretty good. Wasn't perfect or, overly great, but was better. This looks pretty cool. Especially with the recruitment aspect. You can recruit people to your cause to rebel against the state. So I think that looks pretty cool. It's coming out in March. You could even become a murderous former assassin granny. So that's pretty cool. They're releasing a roller derby game called Roller Champions, which is supposed to be their answer to Rocket League. Which, listen, they're not going to take away anything from Rocket League.
No, they're
Rocket
not.
League is too good and too popular that it's going to be a nice try, but going roller derby against RC car or giant soccer balls, like, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I predict that Roller Champions is going to go the way of Lawbreakers. Like, I don't think it's going to last very long.
That's a shame too. That game didn't take off. Not the fact, I don't know if it was a good game or not, but Cliff Bleszinski pretty much just left video games after that. So
yeah, I mean, he, unfortunately, he was doing a little bit of trend chasing there, a little too hard. Like he created an Overwatch clone after like the hero shooter market was kind of already all locked up, and then he tried to create a battle royale game after like the battle royale genre was kind of all locked up, basically. And that kind of just string of failures, I guess, kind of made it like he had all these lofty goals and promises and stuff, but I don't know. It was just like a weird scenario where it's like, I think, Jim Sterling, the YouTube personality, he always talks about this stuff. He says, leaders lead, they don't follow. Like, if you want to be a market leader, you have to create your own like new thing. Like, you can't like see something, rush to market, and then think that you're gonna like unseat the one that everybody loves. I mean, look at what happened with Apex Legends. Like it's still popular, people play it, but like that initial hype burst like fizzled out.
Yeah, but there's still a lot of people that prefer Apex Legends over Fortnite.
Oh, I prefer Apex Legends over Fortnite too. Don't get me wrong.
I think it's got like it still has it's got its following.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love Apex. It's great.
Okay, moving on. We got they showed off Ghost Recon.
Wait, are we going
Breakpoint.
to talk about the Google Stadia?
Ghost Recon Breakpoint, which was very cool because first of all, John Bernthal's in it, but he appeared on stage with his dog Bam Bam to talk up the game, which was a highlight because Bam. It's always a good move to bring out a dog on stage.
Yeah.
And then the Terminator got a cameo in the trailer again. Bringing up Terminator again, which was interesting. Yeah, but marketing for the new movie, which they're very desperate for it to succeed. Obviously, they announced Uplay Plus, which is a new subscription service for the PC. It's like $15 a month. You get access to 100+ games, including like the premium editions. And yes, it's coming to Google Stadia too. And then another thing that
way everyone can play it.
Yeah. And something that was unexpected was Ubisoft is getting to the TV show business with this first live action show called Mythic Quest Raven's Banquet, starring and created by Rob McElhenney. It's interesting. I have hope for it because it was developed by him, Charlie Day, and Megan Gans for Apple TV Plus. Hopefully it's going to be good. I'll obviously going to give it a shot just because of those names. But it wasn't the greatest trailer.
David Hornsby is in it too. Cricket.
Oh yeah.
And from Sunny, and also I think Rob said that David Hornsby also helped develop the show. I don't remember if he said that for sure or not, other than Charlie and Megan Gans. But I think he said David Hornsby also.
Awesome. And then they showed off a trailer or a cinematic trailer for Gods and Monsters, which is the new from the development team behind Assassin's Creed Odyssey, coming out in February. Right.
Yeah, it's wild that game is coming out in like 7 months and they don't have gameplay to show us. Like that is really weird.
It'll be delayed, maybe. I don't know. I
don't know. I can't believe the Assassin's Creed Odyssey team has a new game ready to go.
Yeah, because that's a pretty quick turnaround. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. And then
apparently that game is like pretty heavily inspired by Breath of the Wild.
I can see it.
I was inspired by Breath of the Wild.
Yeah,
I was just inspired. I don't know to what, but it inspired me.
Right. All right. So let's move on to Square Enix, so we can because we obviously got to save the best for last.
Yeah, and like I know we're kind of like I know Dalia and I are both huge Nintendo fans, but like we're not hyping up Nintendo because we love it. It legitimately was the best conference.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Square Enix.
Well, yeah, let's go to.
No, there was some good stuff.
There
in the
definitely
Square
was.
Enix
Yeah.
conference.
And not all the conferences were bad by any means. Microsoft, I thought, had a good press conference.
No, Bethesda just
sucked,
but that's just because they're. I mean, obviously they were saved by Doom Eternal and the new Wolfenstein. And then but
they didn't show bad games.
No, they didn't show bad games except for Blades.
But here's the thing. Yeah,
and Fallout 76.
This possibly could have been one of the best.
Their presentation was bad.
Yeah, this possibly could have been one of the better E3s if Sony was there.
Yeah, but I understand why they skipped it.
Oh, well, if I were Sony, I would have skipped it too. In fact, if I were the video games industry, I wouldn't give a fuck about E3. But that's just me.
Mm-hmm. Well,
yeah, I honestly think that they should just they should literally just all do like their own Nintendo Direct style presentation. Like just release them the second week of June. Their usual time slots. Everybody saves a bunch of money, and we cut out the bullshit, and we just get the games, which is what Nintendo does. And surprise, surprise, not to spoil it again, but Nintendo's was the best one.
So Square Enix, the Final Fantasy VII remake looks very good.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
I don't know who I forget. It's slipping my mind who tweeted this, but this isn't a thought from myself. It was a very, very, very good point. Part of the like, so this part of the remake takes place in Midgar. But when I played Final Fantasy VII, which is really the only Final Fantasy game I ever really got into, part of the cool thing that was about it was like once you leave Midgar, there's a whole world. So like it's kind of jarring that like a PlayStation 1 game does that, and then a PlayStation 4 game keeps you locked in. I don't know. I don't like the episodic way they're doing it.
I agree with you. I don't like that either. But they said that this game is going to be the size of like a full length game on its own.
Really?
Yeah. So like they were up there on stage, Yoshinori Kitase and Tetsuya Nomura, and they were kind of talking about their vision for this remake. And they said that this game alone is going to have on the physical copy 2 Blu-ray discs, and it is going to be the length of a full game, and it's just going to be the Midgar stuff, which is like only like a quarter of the total runtime of Final Fantasy VII originally, like maybe a third. I don't know, like between a quarter and a third, but yeah, you're right. Like
that's an Anthony Dentino question, like how much that is, because he's played the fuck out of that game more than anybody ever met.
No, so am I. I love that game. I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan. I'm really excited.
That's right.
For it. But it's just like you said. After you leave the city, the whole world opens up, and so I'm wondering how they're going to split this when they're making. We don't even know how many games. And if one full game is just the Midgar stuff, like where do you cut off the next one? I know it's crazy. I mean, maybe you cut it off with like one certain moment that happens in the game that is a spoiler for a game from 1997, but that everybody kind of already knows about. But I don't know. I really don't know. But even after that moment, like that moment happens at the end of disc 1. And then there's 2 more discs on the original PlayStation game. So, like, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
Hopefully the game is successful enough to where they don't cancel the ladder. And again, not that like I'm not planning on playing it really, unless it's like fucking phenomenal to the point where everyone's like, no, you have to play it. But I'm not planning on getting it. But like, I understand like the Final Fantasy fan base is such a dedicated video game fan base that I can't help but respect it. So like I get what it's like when a game in your series significantly disappoints you. Like I was there when I bought Devil May Cry 2. Like I get it.
Yep.
Yeah. So I want it to be good for people like you, Dalia.
No, look, listen. When they announced that they were doing this remake, I figured that there was no way in hell that they were going to keep it turn-based and do it exactly the same way that they did it the first time. When they announced that they were going to make it like an action RPG, like kind of in the vein of like a Kingdom Hearts or like a Final Fantasy 15, I was wondering like what that meant for Final Fantasy 7 and how they would set it apart. And now that we've seen the game in action, we've seen how it plays. This is pretty much like the dream of how it could have turned out once they confirmed that it was going to be an action RPG. So, it looks amazing, in my opinion. And the original is always going to be there. You could get it on the Switch. You could get it on PS4. Like, you could get it on PC. It's always going to be there. Up-resed, they fixed the fuzziness. The polygons look clean. You can play it whenever you want.
It was the PC version, I'm pretty sure, that they used for the Switch and PS4.
Yeah, so those versions are always going to be there, and it's always going to be great. And I recommend anybody who is interested in JRPGs pick it up because it's one of the greatest of all time. But I'm not going to hate on this game just because it's not what the original game was. Like a lot of people seem to be. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, moving on. They announced a game called Outriders, which is like a dark modern shooter filled with creepy monsters. Going to come sometime in 2020. What'd you say?
It was developed by People Can Fly, the team that made Bulletstorm.
Oh, okay.
So
I didn't really get a glimpse of that, but they're biggest, I mean, aside from Final Fantasy, the most important thing that they showed off, which did not get a warm reception on the internet, is the Crystal Dynamics Marvel's Avengers game called A-Day, Marvel's Avengers A-Day. We've been hearing about this for a little while. And...
No, the game isn't called A-Day. That was just the trailer.
Oh, the trailer's just A-Day? All right. So just Marvel's Avengers, whatever.
It's just called Marvel's Avengers, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Not having a subtitle. All right. So it's going to be a live game, a live service game, multiple years of content planned beyond release. They do have a really solid voice cast. I mean, Nolan North is playing Iron Man. Jeff Skeen, or however you say it, is playing Captain America. You got Laura Bailey playing Black Widow, and you got fucking Troy Baker in here as Bruce Banner. Troy Baker, Nolan North, and Laura Bailey as three main characters.
Yeah.
Is the perfect trilogy of video game voice actors you could have.
And honestly, like, they're like legitimately good actors on their own too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because like when you watch the mocap performances, especially for like Last of Us and stuff like that, like,
that's it. The mocap performance for Last of Us was great.
Yeah, like I was like, damn, like how come nobody cast this guy in a movie? I mean, listen, but he might just prefer to do video games.
Yeah, and he's certainly not hurting for work with the amount of roles he does and how great all three of them, how great they are at this. So the trailer really was not wasn't great. Wasn't the worst thing I've seen. The graphics are kind of just all right, which I don't know if it's a choice just because it's going to be a live service game or like what the actual choice behind there. But apparently the Crystal Dynamics team is taking all the criticism like very seriously to try and pull it out. I mean, so they got time to do what they can. It comes out in May. But some of the character designs,
not a fan.
Not a fan.
I think Thor looks ugly.
Captain America looks terrible.
Captain America looks so bad.
Terrible.
Yeah. Actually, Thor stood out the worst for me, but I agree. Yeah, Captain America.
His armor just looks ridiculous, but Captain America's overall suit just looks so stupid.
His face looks like a doofus, man. Yeah. Like he looks so stupid. Like
and then Black Widow's face is just all like discombobulated and like kind of just looked like a potato.
Yeah, it's weird because mocap should give you something, so it should be photorealistic to a certain extent.
Yeah, and Laura Bailey is a very attractive woman,
extremely.
And if they did strong mocap on this, they didn't do her face justice. But it just kind of looks a potato. They all kind of look weird. Even the cutscene with Tony out of the armor, and he looks kind of like John Turturro in it.
Yeah.
From The Big Lebowski, like as Jesus or Jesus.
Look, this game is coming out the last year of a console generation. There's no excuse for it to look the way it does. And I'm not one of those people who's like a big like a graphics.
No, and
like,
nor should you be
stickler. Like no, like I mean, listen.
But no, it
again, like I'm a Nintendo fan. Like no, I'm saying like I'm a Nintendo fan. Like graphics are not the most important thing to me. But there comes a point where it's like, like there's like a floor, and that game should not look like that.
Well, yeah, because that's just the design. Yeah, like it has nothing to do with the graphical fidelity of the game.
No, the actual graphics didn't look good either. It looked fuzzy. Like
they look slightly above.
It looked
DC
muddy.
Universe Online, which I don't know if you guys ever played that.
That game was great.
Great in concept. There was
I actually liked
unplayable.
it a lot.
No, I enjoy but the graphics for that are not good.
No, they're not.
This
good
is
at all.
only a slight upgrade on that.
But DC Superhero or DC Universe was developed for PS3.
Yeah,
and
well, this looks like it's developed for like PS2.
Yeah,
but
it looks like a high quality PS2 cutscene.
Yeah, so.
It looked like a high quality PS3 cutscene. Like it was not good.
So that was definitely a disappointing trailer. Taskmaster is going to be the main villain, which is pretty cool.
I'm glad.
Taskmaster's awesome. And again, it's a stud of a voice cast. So I just hope that at least the gameplay is good. You only got like half a second worth of gameplay at each time, so that was a little disappointing, especially if it's coming out in May. But yeah, that was a letdown for sure.
Yeah, this was like the gameplay free E3 which is really weird considering a lot of these games are coming out within the next year.
Yeah.
But like, there are a lot of games that are coming out in the spring, not showing gameplay. I don't know why. Like certain games like Halo, like I understand that's a launch title. They want to save the gameplay, like for probably the console announcement. But like, why is there no gameplay for Avengers other than like the canned like trailer shots? Why is there no gameplay for Gods and Monsters? It's really weird.
Yeah, I don't know. But let's get over to the best conference of all E3, Nintendo. Fucking killer conference. I mean, just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They won E3.
100%.
It was like heavy hitter announcement after heavy hitter announcement. It was crazy. Like it just like oh my god, like every time you thought like, okay, it couldn't possibly get cooler than that, and then boom,
Yeah.
like they hit you with something else. Like it was.
And you know what? They showed off
it
a
was
lot of
wild.
gameplay. I think they showed off more gameplay than any other of the conferences
Oh
here.
yeah, they absolutely did.
And
for sure.
all the gameplay was great.
Yeah, Luigi's Mansion 3.
God,
It
it
looks
looks awesome.
so good. It looks so good.
I love
That's actually the game. I think that's my favorite game that I saw at E3
Mhm.
the entire time. That's the
Yeah.
game. I'm like, I will ignore everything else.
And I love how they're I don't know if you guys watched the Nintendo Treehouse after when they went like they gave it like 40 minutes like playthrough and talked with the lead designers. But it's set in a hotel this time, and each floor is going to be a different kind of just like a different world in of itself. Like there's a medieval world, there's like a movie studio in it and all stuff.
I was wondering how they were going to top like Dark Moon, like with all of the different locations that game had, and this is like the perfect follow up to that game.
Yeah, and just bringing in Guigi, an ethereal form for it too.
Oh my god!
Which is another gameplay. It has some new gameplay mechanics in there. It's going to be great for 2-player co-op. It's going to have an 8-player multiplayer mode for local or online play. But yeah, it just looks so good.
Mhm.
Very hyped for that game.
It looks like just the classic Luigi's Mansion action that everybody knows and loves, with some new bells and whistles thrown onto it. But like, Nintendo really, like, for all of their faults as a company, and they have a lot, like they one thing that they usually do, like have going for them, is they know when to experiment with a franchise, and they know when to give everyone what they want out of that franchise, like, or give them like the classic feel of that franchise. In most cases, the most notable exception being Metroid, but like other than that, they're usually pretty good about that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And so before we get into some of the other big things, let's just go through a couple of other announcements and minor announcements. Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition's coming to the Switch.
Can't believe
which
that.
I think is kind of crazy just for a game of that, because The Witcher 3 is huge. Like it's a huge map. Yeah. So I think that the Switch, I mean, if they're being able to put on like an intense game like Doom and some of these other games that are coming, I do have faith in it coming to it.
But Doom doesn't have to render like that gigantic open world with all the NPCs.
So I think that with that game, you're definitely going to want to play it docked versus handheld.
Yeah, there's probably
for sure.
It's probably going to kill your battery in like 2 hours.
Oh, I would say in under 2 hours because of how much is
it's going to run at like 5 FPS.
Because Breath of the Wild, like undocked, is like an easy 3 hours.
Mm-hmm. But The Witcher, if you don't already have it for any system, I already have the complete edition for PS4, so I'm not going to rebuy it.
Pussy.
Yeah. Then and if you want it for the Switch, I recommend it. It's a fucking awesome game with just a shit ton of content. Astral Chain looks awesome.
Oh man,
looks like a great fucking game.
We were just talking about this last night.
Yeah. Some other. They did a sizzle reel of all the games coming.
Yeah. Oh, the one, and that's it wasn't in the sizzle reel, but it was a trailer. Daemon X Machinima or Machina.
Yes.
That game looked fucking like, and I'm like, there hasn't been a lot of good like mech games, like Zone of the Enders, the Gundam franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Those games were never good, and I want them to be so bad. So like what were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
No, unfortunately, I don't want to burst your bubble, but I played the beta or demo of it that
It
they put
wasn't
out a couple
good.
months ago, and
really?
Yeah,
It was
great.
not good. No, it was not. No, it was not very. It was not very fun or engaging or anything like. It was very
Okay.
boring. And yeah, but but I'm just saying, like I personally like. I had high hopes for it too because, like you said, like I would love to have a good mech game. But mech combat game on the Switch. But
If that demo's any
yeah,
indication,
I wasn't a fan.
It's not.
All right.
Not for me, but like
I didn't
you know,
play. I didn't play
diff-
the beta. So
different strokes.
In fact, this is actually the first time I'm hearing about
Yeah.
it. To be honest, I was at E3. I had no
Oh,
idea what
really?
it was. Yeah.
Oh, you're behind it, but
Oh yeah, no, they announced it last
maybe
year.
okay. So maybe I forgot because I watched last year's
Mhm.
E3. So yeah, when I was watching, I was like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, so I don't know. All right.
yeah.
Well,
So some third-party games that they mentioned in the sizzle reel. The Spyro Reignited trilogy is finally coming to Switch, which I'm very hyped for. Definitely getting that September
well,
3rd.
the Spyro Reignited trilogy was the worst kept secret this year.
Well, no, I know, but I'm still. I'm disappointed that it didn't come out on Switch sooner.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't buy it on other consoles, so I might actually get it on Switch.
I didn't buy it on console on PS4 because I was waiting for it to come to Switch, and I'm very
a
happy
new
with it.
Contra game.
A new Contra game. They do have the Contra collection, which I'm pretty sure is available now, and there's
Which
gonna be
Contra
added to
2
it.
is fucking dope.
The Contra games are great.
Yeah, but I like Contra 2 a lot.
Yeah. They got a sequel to Hollow Knight coming out, Ni no Kuni, Minecraft Dungeons, fucking garbage, Elder Scrolls Blades, My Friend Pedro, Doom Eternal, The Sinking City, Wolfenstein Youngblood, Dead by Daylight, Alien Isolation, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, Dragon Quest Builders 2, Stranger Things 3, Just Dance, Catan, New Super Lucky's Tale, Dauntless, and then they showed off more Super Mario Maker 2. They actually had a competition there with some of the most intense levels. That was actually really interesting to watch. I don't know if you watched that, but
I didn't watch that yet. No.
it looked great.
Can we dive into the Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening trailer, which honestly, like
Yes,
like that fucking blew me away. How good that game looks.
Oh my god, I know. Like, and when they first revealed it back at the Direct, I was like, all right, this looks cool. Like, because I never played it for Game Boy.
Oh, I played the
And-
shit out of it for Game Boy. Fucking love that game.
it was one of the. I am so excited for this because and for you guys to be able to, or Pat to be able to play it, because it is one of the best. It is probably the best Game Boy game of all time. It's so good. It's so good.
Yes. Yeah. That and like I would say like are we talking about Game Boy in general, like Game Boy Advance and Game Boy Color, or just the original Game
No,
Boy?
everything before. I consider Game Boy Color the original Game Boy. So like
Yeah, so do
everything
I.
before the Game Boy Advance. Yeah, so
Okay.
everything before Game Boy Advance.
Okay.
Because I would say
was
Link's Awakening. I would say Link's Awakening DX is the best.
Yeah, because I was going to argue Wario Land 4 too.
Yeah, but that's a Game Boy Advance game, right?
Yeah, that is. Wario Land 4 is my favorite Game Boy Advance game.
Yeah. Wow, really? All right. Well, anyway, no, I don't want to.
I fucking. Are we going to argue?
No, I'm not trying to argue. I just don't want to get off topic.
We don't got time
Yeah,
for
I
arguing.
don't want to argue that.
Okay.
I want to dig into that opinion at some point. Like I want to know more about this, but this isn't the right time.
Yeah. This game, the art style is fantastic. Like, I love the way that they designed this game. I think it looks incredible. It looks fun, and from all intents and purposes, the story I've only heard is one of the best. Like, not just Zelda games, but like you said, Ant, the best Game Boy game of all time, and it's ranked high up in terms of just video games overall. So I've really, this looks amazing. Gameplay, the new modes, was it the new dungeon building mode, right?
Yeah. So that
I think
Yes.
something in there.
what that mode actually is you're going to be able to go to this NPC in the world, and you're going to be able to use basically like dungeon tile sets. In his he'll have like puzzles for you, and you can slot in the tile sets into the puzzles to like fit whatever shape like he wants you to make. And then once the dungeon has met the requirements of his like challenge, then you can go into the dungeon and like play through it. but like you can't share it like with other people. I don't think stuff like that. Like they didn't actually like put in the game. Unfortunately, like it's not like a dungeon maker, like a Mario Maker kind of thing. It's like a different like single player concept. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, regardless, this game looks incredible. I'm very hyped to get it September 20th.
Same.
That like fuzzy little
man,
like
hype.
aura around the edge of the screen. It's like, oh man, it's gonna be it's gonna be so good.
All right, moving on to Smash, Super Smash Brothers. They announced two. Well, technically, it's technically 5 new characters if you want to count it that way.
Yeah.
But so it's gonna be Dragon Quest, 4 Dragon Quest heroes. Just what this game needed. Another sword character.
Right.
Like,
well, at least it's not a Fire Emblem character.
true, but still,
listen.
like,
I'm gonna be able to play I'm gonna be able to play as the hero from Dragon Quest VIII in Smash. That's pretty awesome.
all right, but still, just it doesn't need any more sword characters, and that's something that bummed out a lot of fans. But then they made up for it, and then some, with Banjo-Kazooie. He's going to be playable in this, and that was hype.
I cannot believe, like, it's so. I know, like, after Microsoft has been so like tight with Nintendo in recent years, like a lot of people, were kind of almost expecting something like this. The rumor going into E3 was that it was going to be Minecraft Steve in Smash, but like, I still can't believe it's real. Like,
I know. I'm so looking forward to it. Yeah, people got fucking hyped for that, myself included. And then, of course, they showed off more of Pokemon Sword and Shield. The gameplay actually looks really, really great. I love the whole the wild area, how adaptive it is, and then how massive it is, and how immersive it's going to be. The battles look pretty great. Just everything about it just looks great. I mean, I'm so hyped for this game. I'm, of course, getting Pokemon Shield because that legendary is fucking awesome.
You're getting Shield?
And they showed up. Yeah, of course.
No friggin' way, dude. Zacian.
Nah, dude.
The wolf with the sword in its mouth. Come on.
Nah, I'm about that Shield life. Showed off about snippets of a battle with the Water Gym leader. One thing that they did announce, which, while I understand the reasoning for it, didn't leave a lot of people upset, is with the Pokemon Bank, you can only transfer in Pokemon to the game that are in the Gala Pokédex, which I think they said is currently going to be at around 700 or so.
Yeah,
something like that. Which honestly doesn't really bother me because I don't have anything in the Pokemon. I haven't played a new game in quite some time. But
yeah, I played the Alola games and I fucking love those.
Yeah, see, I haven't played anything that was on the 3DS, so I'm behind on that. But I'm so hyped for this game. November 15th, everything they showed off looks awesome. I mean, just fucking hyped beyond belief for that.
Same.
Yeah. It's Sun and Moon were so good, and it's just like we're finally gonna get like the console Pokemon game that like we've always wanted.
Yeah, finally, it's almost here. 5 months. I just gotta stay alive that long. And then we finally got to see and got a release date for Animal Crossing, dubbed New Horizons, in March 20th, 2020. And the reason it got delayed, which I have to give so much respect to Nintendo, it was delayed to allow the people working on their game a proper work-life balance.
Yeah,
it's a good guy move by Nintendo.
Nintendo is a very honorable company in that sense. Like Satoru Iwata, before he tragically passed away, when Nintendo was like losing a lot of money with the Wii U, he cut his salary so the employees didn't have to
get laid off.
Which is something you never hear a CEO ever do.
You'll never hear,
especially
about that
in the United States.
Yeah. But gameplay, you're going to a deserted island getaway, and the game looks great. I love the updated look. which is it's still very classical, but just for more modern graphics. I think having it on a deserted island is a really interesting way to do it. And having it start in the spring, because for those of you who don't know, Animal Crossing's weather, the game is whatever your localization is, the time, the seasons, and everything. That's what determines the game, like the state of the game. It actually takes place as you're playing it, and then adjusts itself to when you come back to it versus when you're not playing it. So I think, which is a very cool aspect. So getting started in the spring is definitely going to be easier for setup.
Mm-hmm.
But the gameplay looks awesome. Some of the new features and just the island itself, the new characters. Very excited for this game. Animal Crossing is great, and this new one looks like it's.
That's another
gonna be
series I never really got into, but I'm happy there's fans for it.
I only ever played the GameCube one.
Yeah, well, that's the one I played, but I never beat it.
Yeah.
I think I rented it from Blockbuster.
Mm-hmm. So that's the only one I ever played, but I know people are diehard fans for it, and I'm excited that I finally have a system that's coming out for again, that I can get it. Very much looking forward to it. And then, of course, we have to finish it off with the biggest reveal.
It's not really a surprise, but
No, it's not a surprise, but it's still
Yeah.
a massive reveal.
the Breath of the Wild sequel.
I have been waiting for this. Like I knew that they were going to announce this year, because for so long we've heard these rumors that they were working on a sequel to Breath of the Wild, the same engine as Breath of the Wild. It was going to be the same art style, like all that stuff. And I was like, well, the last time they did this, it was Majora's Mask. And as we all know, Majora's Mask came out like a year and a half after Ocarina of Time did.
Yeah.
And now, granted, game design is way more complex now than it was back then. But at the same time, I was like, this game is not that far off. So I was really expecting them to tease it this year. And it looks so good. It looks so good.
Well, and
It looks like it's going to.
Breath of the Wild
sorry.
was in development for a very long time, to the point where, I'm not saying they were working on it before it was released, because who the fuck knows? I don't know. But I mean, they had to have known they had lightning in a bottle with this game. There's just no way.
Well, the biggest advantage that they have now versus before Breath of the Wild came out was that the engine's already made.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Like,
they
they
can use
made-
the
they
same
made
engine, the same assets and
Right.
everything.
Yeah, they made an entirely new game engine for Breath of the Wild that they don't have to do that again. So, because of that, this game, I think this game's got, like, people are saying like, oh, this isn't coming out till 2021 or whatever. I think this game's coming out next year.
I don't think so.
Like, my opinion is that it's going to come out next fall. Because think about it. Nintendo needs to compete with new consoles next fall. What's the only way that they could compete with new consoles?
They're
You
intellectual.
drop a new Zelda.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like,
Good point.
I would not be surprised. It's, you know what I mean? Like, I would not be surprised. It would be over 3 years since Breath of the Wild came out.
I still think it's
It'll be
2021.
3 years in
Well,
March.
also, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, to compete with the new consoles, there's rumors that I'm having 2 new versions of the Switch, which is very likely that it could also come out before end of next year, which they probably are going to save, like a Switch Lite and then some other version. So that wouldn't surprise me. But I mean, the sooner this game comes out, the better, obviously. But it will come out sooner, that because of the engine and the assets they already have, makes it the release frame shorter.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. Like, I think because a lot of the difficult work of developing the game is already done, of developing a new game is already done. I think that there's a real chance, like, a 3.5 year turnaround is not unrealistic for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
I mean, just from a software perspective, they're gonna be competing with Halo. Like a brand new Halo launching with the new Xbox. Like, they're gonna be competing with whatever is launching for PS5. Like, they need something big to do that, and Zelda is that something.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I was reading an interview with one of the producers on it, and they said that it's not going to be connected to Majora's Mask, like completely connected, but it's actually going to be even darker than Majora's Mask.
It looks
Yeah,
dark.
I mean, just that teaser alone was pretty damn dark, and
Mhm.
I think it's definitely going to be a dark game. And
Yeah, that
I'm all for
creature
it.
that like, turns its head.
Yeah, which is clearly corrupted by the mouse.
Yeah, Calamity Ganon.
It was Ganondorf. No, it was like that was Ganondorf's corpse.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like you could see like he had the red hair. He had like the Gerudo symbol.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah. No, that's,
yeah.
I didn't realize that.
yeah, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so like that was Ganondorf's corpse. I guess like he was the reason why Calamity Ganon was focused on the castle was because Ganondorf's corpse was sealed under the castle.
Oh shit.
So yeah,
All right.
yeah. So this is like, whatever that green energy is, it's also infected Link
Mhm.
now. So
All right.
All right.
So people be hyped. There was obviously a lot of great things from E3, particularly on Nintendo side. Some not so great things,
Particularly on Bethesda's side.
particularly on Bethesda's
And
side.
not their games. It was just, I don't know. I didn't watch
It's
their
the
presentation.
Sony wasn't there, so we'll see what they end up announcing coming up soon. Especially when it comes to the PS5, just as much as the games. Oh, wait, one last thing. Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 3.
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah,
Almost skipped over
of
that.
course. Like it looks.
Looks
It
fucking
looks so
awesome.
good.
Solid starting lineup. And then season pass content's going to be X-Men, Fantastic Four, and Marvel Knights. There are some X-Men characters already in the original lineup here. There are a lot.
There are
Yeah,
a
which
lot.
is-
There are like more than I thought. Storm, Wolverine, Beast, Scarlet Witch, and I think I saw like
Magneto.
Yeah, Magneto. And Deadpool. I mean,
And
if you
then
want
they
to
also
count
got-
Deadpool.
Yeah, and then they also got Miles Morales, Ghost Rider, and Elektra in there. And Ghost Rider looks fucking sick in
Yeah.
this. This game just looks awesome.
Yeah, I'm really
and
excited.
I'm hyped for it. Coming out next month. So yeah, overall, some very good stuff in this E3. Overall, I'm excited for what was announced and shown off. And we'll just can't wait for all these games. My wallet is going to shit the bed. My wallet.
What were you guys' games of the show?
Oh, Luigi's Mansion 3.
Luigi's Mansion 3 is obviously up there. I mean, it's really difficult to pick. But of the new games that didn't already previously show gameplay before this, so like I'm not counting Sword and Shield because they had the Pokemon Direct, Luigi's Mansion 3, and then Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah, and then for you, Fallout 76 Battle Royale, right?
That's Anthony.
No.
Anthony.
For me, I disqualify everything we didn't see gameplay of. I would probably say Sword and Shield because what they showed at E3 was the thing I like got me most hyped probably. But I would also like to just give a shout out to The Outer Worlds, which is coming out
Yeah,
in October. We talked about that. It's the new game from Obsidian. It's very heavily inspired by Fallout, like the Bethesda Fallout games. Looks amazing. So that's like one of my most anticipated games of the year. Those are probably the two games I'm most hyped for, like leaving E3.
For sure. All right. Thank you, Anthony, for joining us. Guys, let us know what your favorite and least favorite things about E3 were, the games you're most hyped for. And we'll see you next time.
Peace. Have a good one.